Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Erico Blueberry, an unassuming Destiny podcast. My name is Chili Bin.
A Mickey.
I am so full of McDonald's right now, it's not funny. I am kind of uncomfortable. How are you?
Not full of McDonald's. Waiting for my sausage to defrost so I can have dinner.
Very good.
Pod before dinner.
I like your priorities.
Priorities.
Look, I fucked up. I'll be honest. I needed to eat. It's that simple. I needed to eat. Anyway, season of the Lost. What are we now? Week 3? 3. Yes, because of the compass, the Wayfinder compass stuff, which we'll get to. So the story stuff was maybe a little less hard hitting as it has been in the last couple of weeks. Honestly, I'm kind of glad to have a little bit of a reprieve, especially after last week. I mean, we didn't have to read that lore tab, but it all kind of tied together pretty nicely with all the Saint focus stuff. So this is also the last like Shattered Realm environment, I think, based on the triumphs. It seems like there's only the 3. We both kind of did like a stream of consciousness dump of notes as we were going through it separately, which has been really funny to like read through in preparation for today.
That's the only way I send you show notes.
Yeah, and I'm
screaming into the Discord.
I'm very quickly adopting that style, especially because it was like, Wednesday, I just finished work. I was like, okay, I've got a couple of hours kind of free before I need to, do dinner, and then I had some other stuff to do that wasn't Destiny, honestly. So I just like speed ran through all of the story stuff that I could, and just was alt tabbing, dumping notes in Discord, going back to the game. And I'm guessing you kind of follow a similar workflow. Yeah.
Or sometimes I'll have my phone and I'll have Discord on my phone and I'll actively be typing.
Yeah. The only issue with that is I wanted to dump a couple of images in there, like screenshots out of the game, and you cannot spoiler an image on mobile. Well, I couldn't also get the screenshot onto my phone to post that way. Because there was a couple of interesting bits in there where I was like, I need to at least show you what it is so you understand what I'm saying, just in case you can't get to the story stuff. But that thing sure looked like the Dreadnought when I first saw it. The big old fucking hive ship.
Yeah. I had a moment where it looked like the Dreadnought, and then I pulled back a little bit, but also was trying to look at it while getting absolutely fucked on by enemies.
Yeah. Those fucking hive ships, tomb ships.
Yeah.
The hive in
and
the
then
tomb.
I was like, the hive in the tomb. To me, it also kind of looked like, from Scarlet Keep.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like a wall from the Scarlet Keep as well.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was like a chunk of the keep maybe tilted.
Yeah, I think I put something like that in my notes. But then I also remembered on the Tangled Shore in one of the sections, there is something that looks very similar to that, which I think when I first saw it, I was like, oh damn, hive ships are a big thing. They're huge. So I think that might be more what it's referencing, but then I don't know how much they're expecting us to like parallel what's in the Shattered Realm with what's in sort of the real world. Because in the first one there was a church and we were like, oh yeah, that kind of looks like the church from Trustland. And the second one, I can't remember. It was more kind of Tangled Shore looking shit.
It might just be me, but I feel like every Shattered Realm, it gets more shattered. You know what I mean? Like the landmarks in the first one felt like they were obvious. Like they were the Trustland Church and other like landmarks, and then bits of like the Tangled Shore. And they were visible landmarks. And then the second one that we saw, the next one we saw was a little bit more obscure. And then this one is a little bit more obscure again. And there's only a couple of identifiable landmarks. And it makes me wonder if maybe, because we'll get to it, but they do refer to like the realm being built on imagination and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That maybe something is twisting the realm further.
Yeah, I hadn't really picked up on that.
But that's just my Edgar Allan
mm,
Poe dark
okay.
sci-fi kind of
Okay. I
brain,
like
maybe
it.
reading too far into it,
Look,
where I'm really into dark sci-fi. So like
mm,
in my head, that makes sense, but it's like it's also Brian Lumley shit, isn't it? Where things are twisted.
yeah, I mean, it
But
is the god of deception.
to me, it feels like each realm is slightly more disjointed and
Mm,
twisted and warped, I guess you could say. Like the landmarks aren't as familiar anymore every time we
yeah.
get a new one. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really put all that together. I don't know. There's so many like different places where the seasonal story is coming in, and it all kind of relates, but it's also kind of given out not in like a disparate fashion, but it's a little bit all over the place because you've got like the main quest for the story, and then you've got the one where you're like picking up the awoken story of Riga and Aga, and then you've got like a couple of lore books that are dropping as you do triumphs, and there's also all of the VO in all these missions that you're running, and all the astral alignments and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, it's I'm finding it easy to miss little voice lines that clue into stuff. Like I was running a couple of astral alignment activities earlier this afternoon, and there was a voice line that I don't remember hearing, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually kind of interesting." But how many of these am I supposed to run a week to get everything? That's what I'm not sure about. But yeah,
that's it. Thank God for, and I say this with love, Destiny nerds who go and find all that shit
God,
and put
yeah,
it into a nice linear kind of for those who might not have the time
yeah.
to run shit
I
over and over again.
I straight up know a guy who works on the Ishtar Collective website. Um,
I love that.
I love people that do that kind of stuff. And there's tons of people that do stuff like that. There's the Braytech, was Tom, I think it's basically just one guy in Brisbane building this thing. Whoever it is that builds Dim, it's so good having people that obviously care enough about the game but know how to build cool shit like that. It's a huge benefit. Holy shit! Like I don't know if Destiny will ever actually do in-game loadouts. So thank you to whoever does Destiny Item Manager. I feel like I should actually learn their names. But yeah, so good. Anyway, Shadow Realm stuff. Inside that giant hive ship, or even outside, there's like giant hive portals. But inside, I don't remember Destiny 1 well enough to be able to identify if that kind of interior layout was something from like Crota's End or like any of that kind of stuff around Taken King. But it felt very much like a callback to some of that stuff when the Hive was such a huge focus of the story and there were these big enemies. Just with how like
I
you walk in and there's that big staircase and there's the giant fucking portal thing at the end.
I didn't pinpoint it specifically to anything in my memory. Like I might like Crota's End is a massive raid for me. That's why I keep saying, "Hey, bring Crota back," because
Yeah.
that's my big nostalgic raid, right?
Mm.
Um, but nothing kind of triggered a nostalgic memory in my head. But at the same time, it is very Hive
It's
architecture.
just a vibe, you know? It's a Hive
It's
vibe.
Hive architecture.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it with Crota, we see it with the other Hive
Mm.
bosses and not Guardians. Oh, not yet. But also in the trailer for Witch Queen, we see in
Yeah.
her throne
Throne
realm.
World.
There's a lot of that Hive architecture,
Yeah.
which is like it's gross as shit, but it's also really cool. Like
Yes.
what we see in Scarlet Keep and all of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
crusty as hell, but it's also really nice. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good
I did
um
kind of enjoy the boss fight once I figured out the mechanic of like kill the wizard, stand in the pool, shoot the boss.
yeah.
And all I did was empty a clip of Xenophage into it, and I essentially one phased it. It was
Yeah,
so
mine
good.
was Chaos Reach and a clip
Yeah,
of Xeno, and I was like,
yeah,
oh,
done.
never
Yeah,
mind.
just solo this. All right, bye.
You thought of it a lot better than I did because my head immediately went kill the wizard, stand in the fart. Because it's just a green cloud and I'm a child, so my brain went stand in the fart.
Fart wizards.
So I wish I
Uh,
was streaming it because I would have been sitting there giggling to myself the entire fucking time.
yeah, yeah, and then you explain it,
But
and everyone watching is just like, "Oh, Oh
You're
no.
gross.
Yeah.
Wait,
Speaking of
I
xenophage,
am.
actually, I did notice around this week's Shattered Realm. You remember the like little lanterns you had to light as part of the quest to get xenophage? You
Yeah.
had to like carry the flame and dump it in the little like I don't know trough on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ground. I saw some of those around the Shattered
Yeah,
Realm.
they did look a lot like those. Hey,
No, they
I
look
like
exactly like those actually.
yeah, but I'm not confident enough to say that shit with my whole chest.
Mm. But my
I'm worried someone who knows better than me is going to be like, "Oh, dickhead."
yeah, no, my
No.
first fucking thought is like, are we going to have to pick up something and carry it to a bunch of these points?
Fake gamer girl doesn't know a Xeno well. Ooh.
Oh, gross. Fucking
Ooh.
fart wizard. But yeah, I mentioned the Wayfinder's Compass earlier. This week is where we finally get like the third major ability, I guess.
Safe passage.
Safe passage. Which I guess the Shattered Realms are going to be on a weekly rotation, like the Dreaming City Curse. Interesting parallel that I've only mentioned now and realized. So being able to go back through those now that we've got all of those abilities will be pretty interesting.
And
but
it'll let us find different anchors and different
yeah, because
memories or
I've
whatever
done a
they're
couple of
called.
runs through the Shattered Realm now that I've got safe passage, and there's a couple I know where they are, but I can't get to because I think I need to get later upgrades that extend the duration of like Barrier Breach. I think is the last one I'm missing. But even then, I'm looking through the triumphs list, and it's like there's still at least a dozen secret triumphs that I don't know how to get, and it's all those like trivial mysteries and all those fun things. But it has been pretty fun to like do a run, get the new ability, and then immediately be like, well, let's go see what it can do. Right? It's that little bit of a
Yeah.
hook to be like, go again though.
Get back in there, son.
Yeah, go and
Nice little
find
pat on
another.
the butt
Go
as
and
you go
find a little
in.
box. Get a little, I don't know, grenade launcher out of it.
I keep forgetting the name of what those mysteries are called. And the other day I was running a Shattered Realm with a friend and I kept calling it a tangible memory.
Ooh,
And he was like, no.
that tangible memory feels like it could be a Destiny name for something.
Tangled misery. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Like, I keep forgetting the
trademark.
names of them.
Titty mouthfeel. Just thinking of anything for TM now.
Transformorphemes.
Transmorphosize. I got nothing. This is garbage. All right.
Our brand.
Yes.
This is garbage.
Yes. It's us. We're garbage. We play Destiny. I did also note with the boss location in the Shattered Realm, it calls it the Warship. I don't know if that's meant to mean anything. But when I was like, I think I put it in all caps when I was like putting my stream of consciousness notes down. I just wrote New Shattered Realm : is that the fucking dreadnought? Because I saw it from the front on, and I was like, hold up, what is this? I'm now pretty certain it's not. But then when you get inside and it says the warship, it's like, well, hang on, what are you doing? But I did actually see
same thought as me.
Yeah, I did see
Might
one of
just
the
be Shadowkeep but fallen over.
yeah I saw one of the Bungie devs I think that had worked a lot on the Shattered Realm stuff, and they said that basically all of it was done in about 3 months.
Amazing.
So
Well,
if,
I mean,
if
you
they're
just have to
reusing
take assets and tip them.
that was my thought.
I'm kidding.
It's, like,
it's obviously a lot more difficult.
It is.
I wouldn't undermine them like that.
No, but I think like for the amount of complexity that is in there, if they've reused assets from previous content, then that makes a lot of sense.
That's fine.
You know,
it's also normal for games to
Yeah.
reuse assets and
100%,
reskin them. Like 100%. It's
100%.
nothing new.
But it was super interesting to like contrast that with all of the layers of like, well, you need this ability to get these things unlocked, and then you'll get the next one, and then you can access all these other things. It's like that would have taken some fucking thought of like, well, if we put a true sight here and a barrier breach here, that might be just too close, so let's just nudge it back a bit because we want it to run out until they get the duration extension.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can imagine them moving those things around just like little bits and being like, no, someone with 100 mobility will be able to clear this, you know, or
Like,
that kind of stuff.
Imagine being the play tester and your
Oh,
job is just to be frustrated every day.
mm.
Here's a new way we're going to piss you off.
Yeah, I would, and this is, putting on my 10 years of working in software testing hat, I would not be surprised if when they're testing the game, they have some tool where they can just go, okay, give me a character with this stat rollout, with these weapons, just because it's like you're trying to test something very specific. You need to be able to set that up without having to actually like grind out a bunch of shit to be able to make an armor build or whatever. That would be so much fun. Holy shit. Just like, oh, I want to see what happens if I, have this combination of stats plus this exotic, plus this weapon, plus this mod.
Someone's turned it up to 11 and just...
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's kind of why when big bugs happen, it's like they can't test every combination because there's a calculable but insanely large number of permutations. 3 classes, 4 subclasses for each, 3 trees, all the different stasis stuff. And that's before you even get to like mods, weapons, armor, any of that stuff. It's such an insane amount of stuff that can only ever really be tested by the player base. Because they're not that big of a studio. They would need so many more people to actually test that themselves.
And the money.
But yeah, like you have to pay those people.
The money to run those large scale testing is absolutely nutty.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, back to Shattered Realm. Well, not so much Shattered Realm, but then there's that little Petra and Crow scene in the helm right after. Just kind of odd. I don't know. It felt weird to me because I don't remember much about Petra as a character. And she seems really like anti-Crow.
She's there for, like, she's kind of like Mara's right hand man, but she's also Mara's, I guess in a way, from memory, confidant. Like, she's her bestie, basically. I think I might be misconstruing it or read too far into it, but from memory there is hints that there's romantic interest there too.
Okay.
But she's also very much
Aldrin Solve, get in line, Petra comes first.
There's still very much she's there for the Awoken, she's there for the Dreaming City. She wants to do what's right by the Awoken and what's right by the city.
Gotcha.
So obviously Crow potentially being under the influence of Savathun and Petra not believing entirely that, Savathun is a good influence or, trustworthy.
Yeah. Well, someone that even you can work alongside while not trusting them, but trying to get to a certain outcome.
And then I'd imagine the frustration of, yes, I thought this was Cyrus, but it's actually Savathun. So obviously Savathun is the person guiding me and the good person, but him not taking into consideration the amount of betrayal pretending to be a friend.
Yeah, and that I think kind of was more explicitly said when you go to talk to Crow on his own after that little cutscene, when he's basically like, well, the only person that ever really kind of believed me, or sort of, not supported, but, looked out for him was technically Savathun, and he wants to go talk to the Crystal Lady, and they won't let him.
Cocoon.
Cocoon. How have we not?
I just thought of that then.
Fuck.
I don't know if I've seen it on Twitter and picked it up by osmosis, but just like you said that, and I was like, oh, Cocoon.
Yeah, I came very close to like fucking drafting a tweet that was like, Ikora's in the loom, Eris is on the moon, Savathun is in the cocoon. But then I was like, well, it's basically just you and I that are going to find that funny.
That's a very niche joke.
Yeah.
That is a very inside joke.
Yeah. Yeah, now we've got Savath
Cocoon. To whoever watches this, and they can be in
well, now
on the loom.
Now they know. You're welcome. Ikora's in the loom.
In the loom.
What else was in there? Oh yeah, so like as part of that scene, Petra like holds up a knife to Crow's throat, and he says like a knife against a hunter. Is that something like, do you think that's a wise move? I don't remember a time before this that he referred to himself as a hunter.
Yo, if he becomes the new Hunter Vanguard, I
Well,
fucking riot.
that's kind
I'm
of,
rioting.
some people have had that theory for a while, but I'm fairly certain up until now he's only referred to himself as a guardian, even though like he is very definitely a hunter based on his build, his fit.
Aesthetic and
Yeah,
his, yeah,
but I don't think he's ever kind of mentioned it
confirmed.
himself. So this could be them setting him up to become
If
the
he
Vanguard.
becomes Hunter Vanguard, I'm throwing a fucking chair through a window in the tower.
All right, if not him, then who?
Cade 7.
His
Bring back
ghost is
Cade.
dead. You can't bring him back.
I'm sure the big scary head has a way.
Oh no. No, they're gonna bring
Oh,
it. They're gonna.
Clovis Bray for Hunter Vanguard.
Oh no, it's
Just the
Banshee.
big head in a
It's
tower.
Banshee like 49, something like that. Ugh, none of those are good. Yeah, Savathun still sounds like she's speaking when her voice lines come through with like multiple voices. I don't know if you kind of heard it. Maybe it's me because I like will just play with these headphones on and it's like right here, but
I play
it
with these
phases in
on.
and out a little bit.
I have these on, and like these are pretty good headset. And usually when I'm just playing by myself, I flick it from. You can flick the balance between chat and game to prioritize the audio. So sometimes when we're doing a raid, for example, I'll prioritize the chat a little bit more.
Right. Okay.
When I'm playing by myself, I flick it down to game. So just game audio is prioritized. And then I usually have it quite loud. Probably not good, but in the long run. I noticed it as well, but part of me is also like, is that trying to make them sound crystallized, or is that actually Savathun of more than one voice?
It
Maybe
almost sounds like it's pitched down and almost distorted. Like,
yeah.
It's.
Tell you what, though, the lady who voice acts Savathun.
Yeah. No, she.
Mint.
I don't know if you like. She's been in a bunch of stuff as a voice actor.
Bunch of games and anime.
Star Wars Force Awakens. No, not Force Awakens. What is it? Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, it's got like a really awkward name. But she voices kind of your Jedi mentor, like reluctant mentor, and there's a lot of like emotionality to the delivery of a lot of those lines because she's like, well, I kind of gave up that life, but you definitely need me to be this mentor, and like the face capture does a fair bit of work in getting that across, but also her voice performance is just outstanding in that role. So when I found out that that's who it was, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's fantastic.
I think that's why she was so familiar to a bunch of us in our clan as well, because we definitely had those moments where we were like, I know her fucking voice from somewhere.
Yeah.
For me, she was in a few dubs of anime that I'd watched over the past few years and a couple of video games, but before they announced who it was, I was like, I know her voice.
Yeah.
But she's got that slow, methodical, I wouldn't say sultry, but in a way like that just musical, the way she speaks is just perfect for Savathun, and the lines she delivers are just like that. She reminds me of the snake from Jungle Book when he says trust me, and it's like really kind of calming, and I'm like, yo, that's such a nice touch to have a voice like that as her character.
It's like that like intentionally slow delivery to make you like stop and pay attention in a sense, and can also be like kind of unsettling and scary, but in a way that you don't know. That
voice with like, we're yet to establish if it's 1,000 other voices maybe, or many voices. But that effect on it is very like, it's you definitely pick it up, but for me, the first couple of times I think I picked it up subconsciously, and then when she said something, I was like,
yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah, actually, there's an echo on that, isn't there?
Yeah, kind of uncomfy. What I'm trying to think if there was anything else with kind of this week's story stuff. The Ripples law book this week was, again, not as kind of hard hitting in terms of the emotional stuff that we had with like Saint and Mithrax going off to do an override together, like a fucking buddy cop. It was
I
kind of a
want
weird story
that.
of like a Hive Knight having died in the Ascendant realm and then coming back through combat, or something.
Mm.
It felt just like they're just doing like some world building. It didn't kind of have as much, to me at least, as much relevancy to stuff that I know well.
It it felt not lore building, but rule building,
Yeah,
where they were establishing the rules
yeah,
of
good point.
what we're kind of dealing with a
Mm,
little bit, which Destiny does really, really well. Like Bungie's story writing, just I want to give all of their story writers hugs
yeah,
because they have this really good way of almost organically explaining the rules. And
yeah,
they very rarely break the rules, but when they break their own rules, there's usually a reason behind it, and they give a tangible reason
yeah,
within the scope of the world that makes sense once you know.
yeah.
But some lore books, I feel like, are really just a dramatic kind of theatrical way of
Mm.
explaining a rule or how something works.
Yeah, and that it's interesting you say that about like subtly setting rules, because that's kind of like, to in my head with regards to like Osiris getting essentially possessed by Savathun, and I can see why people want to think that maybe Crow is under a similar kind of influence, but to me, the rule there is Crow still has his ghost, therefore he is protected. Osiris lost his, therefore Savathun got in.
For me, crows, I think I called it Crow Sim for Sabathun.
Yeah.
I think it's less Savathun direct like possession
Hmm.
and more influence as in like once I go back to the metaphor of abuse or someone
Hmm.
abusive and manipulative in your
Yeah.
life, crows built that codependency
Sure.
because regardless of whether it's Osiris or Savathun, it feels like safety
There's that attachment.
to
Yeah.
him. But we don't know why Savathun brought him into the tower after what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it
What is she
less
setting him up for?
it's a direct influence but by way of manipulation. And I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
that's it. I think
Yeah.
and I think that's why he's like, I have to go see her, I have to go talk to her, I have to be around
Mm.
her, is because she has built that codependency on her.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit like damned if you do let him talk to her, damned if you don't, because if you don't let him go, he's going to get all angsty and probably just flip out.
Do it anyway.
But if you risk it, there's the chance that like Savathun will
She gets her claws
further
in more.
deepen, or yeah.
Having a psychology degree has absolutely fucked me this season
Oh,
because I,
dude,
I think
same.
I am looking at Savathun and the stuff she does, knowing she's the queen
Uh huh.
of
Yeah.
like lies and like
Yeah.
deception, and then
Having.
looking at her interactions and her going back and thinking about the past as
Mm-hmm,
well and just
mm-hmm.
going,
I think I
she's
can.
just
I'm fairly
an
certain this is accurate.
emotionally manipulative kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's fairly accurate for me to say we both have psych degrees and both have lived experiences with emotional abuse.
Mm.
This season kind of hits
Yeah,
a little
that's it,
bit.
right? Like, and we had that post chat discussion where you read me that law book, and I was like, "Yo, that whole thing feels like a metaphor for depersonalization,
Mm,
being trapped and watching someone do something."
yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
But I
Too real.
do definitely look at the way Savathun communicates with people and then people's reactions.
Mm, mm.
And for me, my biggest thing is like Mara's never going to admit she was wrong. Because
No,
when in the past has she really admitted that
no,
she was
God
wrong?
no.
So if this whole thing, which I feel like it will, because we've seen the trailer, um, when it backfires on her, I think she's going to
Hmm.
have a really hard time admitting she fucked up.
Yeah, she'll have some big dramatic moment where she breaks down and admits, or I don't know, something to that
Throws
effect.
herself in another hole. Who
Yeah,
knows?
makes herself blow up all over again. Who knows?
But yeah, I definitely think when I call Crow a simp for Savathun, I think it is just he's built a codependency
Yeah, yeah.
on Savathun.
It's not quite like Stockholm syndrome, but it is that kind
Because
of. Like it's
We had,
the only entity that's kind of ever shown him respect, I guess.
and it's I
Or that he
sympathy.
thinks. Yeah.
The only person who hasn't looked upon him and been like, you killed one of ours.
Yeah.
Why should we trust
Yeah,
you
look at
after
him for who
everything
he
you've
is,
done?
not who his body used to be.
But we even saw it a little bit in the first week where he was jostling
Mm.
to rescue Osiris against Saint. And that feels like a massive breach of kind of like boundaries or respect
Mm-hmm.
because Saint is established as Osiris's partner now officially.
Yes.
And he's trying to beat Osiris's own partner to rescue Osiris.
Yeah.
And rather than work with Saint, he wants to be the first one there.
Yeah.
So it's like it's codependency.
Let
That's my opinion.
Crow kiss the cocoon. Let him kiss the crystal.
And he gets stuck to it like when kids lick like
frozen poles, frozen
I
handrails.
want that. I want
oh no.
Crow to get stuck to the Sava cocoon.
No, so what's going to happen is like Marisol's standing there working on her desk, right? She's like, here's Crow kind of like yelp
Like
out
the
in
muffled,
pain.
like
Yeah, but then she goes to, and all she can see is Crystal Crow's back. She goes like, "Homie, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, don't tell anyone about this." And it's just like, zip is undone, and he's stuck there.
Oh, being discovered by your sister. Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say tongue.
No.
You okay?
I don't know why my head went to he's gonna try fuck that crystal, but it did.
I'm stuck. Tongue stuck to Savathun.
Man.
We're weird. I hate our brains.
Yeah, I know. Like I said that, and it wasn't actually that like surprising for you that I would say that. It's more surprising for me that you didn't beat me to it, if I'm honest.
Expected product behavior.
No, because
I hate Crow. I don't want to think about that.
I mean, he would be enjoying weirdo. It. His dick would be stuck to a big old crystal.
I just don't want to think about it because Crow looks like every dude I dated in high school. It's not great.
Bit of a self-read.
Big fringe. Big fringe.
Sava
Cocoon.
Sava Cocoon. Very good.
Dicks out for Sava Cocoon.
Let me just do this because it's below the show.
I will leave this call.
Let's not do that. This is not the right part of YouTube. Okay. Any other stuff from the story this week? Like the Riga and Aga story was kind of just more of the same. There wasn't any kind of big new things that feel like revelations or parallels to anything else.
The only other thing I can see and I can think of that stood out to me was the Taken the Scorn and the Hive teaming up.
Yes.
And I went, oh,
yes.
icky.
Yeah, I think maybe Bife did a video about that in like the last week or so. I haven't checked it out, but I think I saw the thumbnail come across my feed. But yeah, that feels because like the Elixir have kind of come in with the Tower and the Vanguard. I don't know what's happening with the Cabal, but they're still out there. So
Idol's still pissed off somewhere.
Is this gonna? Yeah, is she gonna like sort of bring the Cabal in line to work with us? Is it gonna be like this 3 on each side fucking team battle, light versus dark? Some kind of shit. Hard to say
because in that cinematic, Savathun openly admits to having a hand in the Zavala Keitel conflict as well.
Right? Yeah, of course. Maybe she was setting it all up. Like anything's on the table.
That's the hardest thing about. That's the hardest thing about this. Like, they've given us the end, and now we're working through the like we joked it last week where it was like, "Hi, I'm Savathun, and you may be wondering how I got here," and then we have to go back and play through.
Yeah, but it's a weekly.
We're literally lining up the dominoes.
Yeah,
and even though we're lining up the dominoes, we don't know when they're going to fall or where they're going to fall.
Yeah, but like...
Bungie are giving us the pieces and we're like, okay, but when does it fall?
The other side of that is we're also looking back at ourselves going, you dumb fuck, you're going to push that first domino over, stop standing them up, and you can't help it.
Yeah. Like Mara keeps doing stuff. I'm like, homie,
Yeah,
no.
just go away again. Go back to wherever it was you were.
This is the marble on the Rube Goldberg machine that you
Yeah,
don't want to hit. Like,
yeah.
we don't.
We don't do
What
this.
is what puts everything in motion? And it's also like, what kind of a major events are we
Mm,
looking at between now and the throne realm?
yeah,
How did we get there?
I know.
Like,
How does the throne world get created? Like, where has this shit been coming from? Has it always been there?
what if we all decided as a whole just not to go get Savathun's worm?
Fucking, everyone goes on strike.
Punt that worm
The
into the
Guardians
fucking
unionize.
punt the worm into space.
Oh, I want to do that anyway.
I want
Put it on one of
Saint
those Titan
14 to
frisbees and just sling it.
Saint 14 to drop kick
Yes,
Savathun's worm.
yes.
It's a
That's
sentence.
sounds like some kind of euphemism I don't want to understand.
Savathun's worm.
Ugh, ugh.
Um, Ironically enough, looping back to our conversation before,
Mm,
one of my show notes is literally just kiss the cocoon.
it is. Yeah, no, I looked ahead to that.
Don't know what bit I was up to. I don't know what bit I was up to, but
I think it was right after, like, we're talking about, Crow having a chat with Savathun. That's all he wants. And then you
just
just
a
wrote,
little chat, kiss the cocoon.
It's very good. Look,
Um,
I'd let him talk.
you did the other quest, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the one with the sort of Riga and Aga story
Mm.
beat, the audio log stuff. Like I said, there wasn't much that I kind of took out of that. It's more. It seems like more of the same, like, allegory for Aldrin and Mara, lightness, darkness. Yeah, there wasn't anything there. I was like, oh fuck, big moment. It was more like, okay. But then looking at the room you go into to drop those all off, this is now the third one, and from what it looks like, there's only 4.
Oh, okay.
And looking at it from outside the game, I'm pretty sure this is where we get a new exotic, Aga's Scepter, which they keep talking about in the story that they're telling. And I think that might be involved. Have you seen in the Shadow Realm, there's like these big purple kind of sparkly things that you can shoot and it says immune. I think you might need Aga's Scepter to blast those open. Because I can't see anything else that but I think we've seen, like, images from Bungie of what that weapon is in the promo stuff. I think it was in the showcase even.
Or teasers and stuff a
Yeah,
little bit.
it looks like a giant fucking rifle. I don't know. I don't remember.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I think we might be close to actually kind of wrapping that quest line up and getting a big new gun. And that'll be fun.
We love a big new gun in our fire team.
Yes, we really do. Speaking of big new guns, well, not really, just big stuff. We had Mayhem Week last week, given that we record like the day after reset, and then we haven't really played that much by the time we record. I had a real dumb fucking Mayhem strat that I tried out. It was Titan, Ward of Dawn, big protective bubble, Helm of Saint 14, so get the shield, blind anyone that comes in. And then I was running Trinity Ghoul. So as long as I could get 1 kill to start the chain reaction of lightning shots, I would just duck in and out of the bubble, just shoot it off. It kind of worked, but that amount of setup was too much. So then I just went back to using Sunshot. So I was getting the damage boost from the bubble. I had a place to hide no matter where I was. And I would get a bubble back before that one had run out. So I was just like kind of moving the bubble around very slowly, jumping out, and Sunshot was basically like a 2-tap kill. Unless someone was in their super, and then it's a different story. But I was just pulling some dumb shit because like I got my pinnacles done. I was just like, look, I'm just here to grind activity streak bonuses. I don't care if I win. I don't care if I come top or bottom of the leaderboard. I just want to do some dumb shit. It's mayhem. That's sometimes the best time. Yeah, and then going back to the Titan Frisbee Doomfang Pauldron build, where in a single jump, because I'm basically alternating grenade and jump, so that I'm like grenade, hover, and then just like slowly falling. And I think I must have got like a dozen fucking frisbees off before I landed, and just bouncing them off the walls. Oh, it's so trash, but it's so fun.
For some reason, when I see you bounce things off the walls, all I can think of is like, and it's terrible, but you know that clip of Trump going, bing, 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 bong, bing, bong. Every time I see you ricochet a frisbee down a hallway, for some reason in my head,
where that was going.
For some reason in my head, I just hear Trump going, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know why.
Now all I'm going to think about is that.
Bing, bong, bing, bing, bong.
It couldn't have been a pinball machine, but it's specifically Trump doing that noise. Holy shit.
I have that video saved to my computer.
Oh my god,
for no
I'm going to black out. Fuck.
Bing bong, bing bing bong.
Oh, that's so good.
I've also been irritating our fire team with good soup.
What? What?
At the moment, completely not Destiny related, but at the moment on TikTok and Twitter, there is just a clip of Adam Driver taking a sip of soup and then going, good soup.
I'm not aware
and
of this.
And it's just trending on TikTok and Twitter for no reason. I mean, the episode of Girls that it happens in is in like 2016, so it's come from nowhere.
Wow.
But every time something happens, I'm like, good soup.
That was like right after Tom Cardy's song Big Breakfast made another round through the Discord server.
Patricia, Daddy Wants a Big Breakfast.
Daddy Want the Big Breakfast. Shout out to Tom Cardy for an absolute banger. I don't, it got stuck in my head, the phrase Big Breakfast, and I started using it as like, I don't know, a celebratory cry whenever I did something cool in Gambit.
Breakfast.
Yeah, like when I deposited a large blocker, it was like, ooh, big breakfast.
I remember being in a Gambit game and you depositing 15 and going, ooh, Daddy wants a big breakfast.
Yeah, or I went to invade and just said something basically the same. Just, we are actual curses in human form.
I like to say I'm a nightmare in a flesh suit.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds fun.
Another favorite of the server lately has been baked beans.
Baked beans. It's from the same song. It's from the same thing.
Yeah.
Hashed brown.
Hashed brown.
It's very good.
Oh, jeez. This is a podcast for our clan and our clan
hey,
at this point.
If we're having fun, if we're entertaining ourselves, chances are someone else is getting something out of it. I like to bring
people into inside jokes. I think it's lovely when you involve someone in an inside joke.
Unless it takes like 5 minutes to explain, and then you might as well have just created a new joke with that person that you were talking to. But maybe that's just me.
Mayhem, though.
Yes.
Meckham. Speaking of curses, it's me. IB and Mayhem is my week.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was not a huge fan of this round of Iron Banner bounties. I think 3 of them were like final blow based, which are always just a bit more of a pain in the ass, especially when it's like ability final blow for one, weapon final blow for another, and then I think the other one's just like get kills, and that's fine. But it just seems to take so much longer, at least for me, to get those done. Whereas the other ones where it's like play matches, capture zones, get kills, bonuses for this and that. Cool. I'll probably get all of those done, but I think I only got 1 done out of the 4.
I think this week I was very aggressively reminded of the dichotomy of Mayhem and IB players.
Yeah.
Because we went from a particularly cursed IB match where I was not having a good time, which sucks because I love IB.
Yeah.
We were up against a 4-stack and all of them were running Sweet Business.
Yeah. That is so shit.
I hated that every minute of it. So we got real mad, we never jettison anything unless it's quite obviously cheaters.
Yeah.
So we played that through and we're like, fuck IB, let's go into Mayhem for a while because we're all grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up in an IB match with 3 warlocks who were just chaining their Well of Radiances. So they were just rotating through the group. So there was a well of radiance regardless of where you were.
Actually the worst.
So like my chaos reach was particularly fucked that day.
Yeah. Although,
and then I had my geos on, which extend.
Do you remember that one? I think it was like after a raid, and we were all like pissed off, and it was Mayhem Week, and we 6-stacked it. And I think the plan was I ran Bubble as a Titan. Everybody else just ran whatever damage super they wanted. And the Bubble basically became home base because they had to come to us to get kills.
Yeah.
But then they would have 5 supers unleashed on them.
We did
and
it
then
in
back to the
Spawn
bubble
too.
It's so dumb.
I love Mayhem because it's no sweat shitheadery.
Yeah, and it does matches are quick.
You come here, you come to Mayhem to be a shithead, which is why I thrive. Because it's just me throwing chaos reaches and screaming into the Discord server.
Whereas this week we've got Mayhem's shitty cousins Team Scorched, which I've done enough to get the seasonal challenge done of kill Guardians in Team Scorched, and then I'm not touching it again.
I need to do that, and I'm kind of dreading it.
It's
because I know I'm going to put myself through the stress of trials this week.
Yeah.
So
I'll match make some trials. Just fucking solo queue it, see what happens. There'll be a lot of people trying it out, so there might be some.
I might get ferried to the tower, and then I will be laughing from the tower. Ha 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 ha! Look at my flawless.
As long as one of us gets it, I'll be happy. Honestly,
now, if me of all people gets flawless and gets ferried to the tower, I know 2 people in our fire team that will be very tilted, and that's why I want to do it.
You'll be one of them.
I want to make some big men real salty.
Yeah, me too. I can't help, but I want to see that happen. That's just who I am. Yeah, so that
I live to piss people off in our fire team. You know,
it's a good time. I'm trying to think what else we had down for this week.
We ran our first VOG in a while.
Well, first Vault of Glass for the season, so first Vault of Glass, or actually any raid without our dear friend Pour One Out, Breach and Clear. We miss you. We want you back. Had to change up a bunch of strategies around boss damage. Not that we were relying on Breach and Clear, but we just got kind of used to it in terms of like 2 Anarchy's super, go again. So yeah, there was a fair bit of like reconfiguring some strategies and just moving people around and all of that. So it felt a bit, I don't know, like...
It felt like day one, kind of.
Well, yeah, or like that first week of like, we think we know how it works, and now it's just about getting those rhythms down all over again. That's more what it felt like.
It's everyone finding their place, and I think with Breach and Clear and a few of the other mods, we may have, knowing that they were going to wait, we might have lent too hard on them.
But
a little bit.
They were also really fucking
really good. But to our own detriment, we might have lent in too hard. So I'm kind of interested to see how the final encounter for DSC is going to go this week that we're planning to run, because we don't have Breach for A-Tracks.
Yeah. I mean...
Tank tracks.
Yeah, well, 10x, but if you go back to the A-Tracks encounter, just go back to trusty old Lament, Lucent Blade.
Yeah.
That was the strategy, and I think that
double
still holds
Lament
up.
and a Xeno.
Yeah. I think
but the final encounter, 10x, sorry. I always get them confused. I don't know why. We have done big 4 nuke clears with Breach and Clear. So I'm really excited to find out. But it did very much feel like those first couple of runs where everyone was kind of trying to find their spot and their position and their function again.
But a jostling, I guess, just kind of getting back in the groove.
Especially with the last couple of encounters in the vault, particularly. There was a lot of trying to figure our damage phases and our positioning and damage phases back out again, and then holding off supers or popping.
Well, it was also like changing rhythms too, because we used to do Templar boss fight as we would force ourselves to 2-phase it so that we could get the oracles in that second round, but we had enough damage from Breach and Clear that we could 2-phase it. This time I think we ended up doing it in 4.
4, yeah.
maybe. But we basically went,
But we were
okay,
playing very conservatively.
yeah, but
Like, we were
we
doing damage and then
changed.
going back.
We changed the timing, so it was basically like we're going to block explicitly one teleport, and then we're going to go back and sort of get clear and get ready for oracles. But you know, it's that kind of adjustment that you need to do when your damage output is different across the board. But yeah, doing Deep Zone Crypt again will be fun. I love that raid, but also very different to how we did it last time. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Even if we stumble, like, DSC is one of those raids that even when you stumble, it's still a really fun raid.
Yeah. It's so good. How have I not talked about this yet? My new graphics card turned up the day
I was
after.
about to ask about it.
The day after our last episode recording, it did show up on the Friday. My shiny new 3080 Ti. It is just so good. So I for reference, I guess before this, I was on an NVIDIA Founders Edition 2080 Ti. So it's their NVIDIA stock cooling, which has a history of being trash. Or it's more that they just don't do good fan profiling is kind of the only way I can describe it, because it would basically, the fans would go from 0 to 100 when it reached a certain amount of load.
Yeah, they would.
And by 100, what I mean is it sounded like I was pointing a hairdryer into this microphone. Even though the microphone is straight above me and the graphics card is like over there behind a monitor in the corner of the room.
To the point, a few
fuck.
Chili is taking off jokes were dropped when we could hear it.
So like basically on my keyboard, like right next to where so I got my left hand WASD. If I just stretch my pinky out, I've got a hotkey for muting my microphone in Discord, and I would just get used to smashing that when I could hear the fans coming through my microphone into my headphones. Anyway, that's all to say, I was previously running it at, I think, 1440p resolution on high graphics, not highest, but high. And I was able to pretty comfortably hit 60 frames a second, albeit with the fans spinning up basically when there was a lot of like elemental effects on the screen. So Mayhem was a nightmare for that. But now with the 3080 Ti, which is an Asus card, it's one of their tough TUF series cards. So it's all about like reliability and good cooling, and also it's a 3080 Ti, so it's fucking powerful. So I've now, I was going to say I've cranked it. I've cranked it up. I've cranked the graphics up to running at 4K. So I want to make use of this 4K monitor I've got. Still on high graphics, but it's hitting 60 frames a second at about 40% usage on the GPU. So it's still also very quiet. I did let it run without the 60 frame limit on it, just to see, well, one, how high it would go, but also two, how loud it is when it's at full. It was fine. Like, it was not much louder than it is just normally. And also uncapped, it ran at like 140 frames a second or thereabouts, but it was also like jumping around a bit, and on a monitor that can only really do 60 frames a second, I don't want to run that many frames without running VSync, because it just gets real nasty. So yeah, being able to actually like hit 4K 60 almost with everything turned up, it's really nice to not sound like I'm in a wind tunnel while I do that. I'm also able to get the most out of it. So yeah, it's real fucking good. I'm not advocating that anyone go and spend that kind of money on a graphics card, because they're still kind of overpriced. But if you are financially able to, they do look real good.
I was trying to remember what I have in my build. I think it's a 3080 as well. But it's, for that same reason that you said before, I stayed away from the NVIDIA Founders card, because I had heard that their cooling and their fan profiling is notoriously garbage.
Well, also the 2080, that series was the first time any of the ray tracing stuff had gone into their cards. So it was more of like, it was a technology jump, not a performance jump.
Yeah.
So the 30 series is, well, the ray tracing's also better, but also it is that big performance boost that even over a 2080 Ti, I notice it. You know, like I'm able to get a bunch more frames out of everything. I'm running more things at 4K 60 native, and I will go on record as saying no one ever needs more than 4K because your eyes cannot fucking tell the difference. Like I'm at the point where 1080 to 4K, I can almost tell it if I'm looking at certain things. But anything past that, it's too fine a resolution for human eyes to fucking pick that up.
It's a flex more than anything, really.
Yeah, and that's where like this fucking outlets saying that, oh yeah, the PS5, they're going to put a pro model out that does 8K. It's like, homie, it's not even actually doing 4K. Like if you want to talk about native 4K, that shit will run you thousands of dollars in hardware to pull it off properly.
Yeah.
You're not getting that out of a PS5. Come on. Don't be silly. You can do some clever stuff with like, you know, the DLSS sort of upscaling using AI and all that. And that stuff is wicked and totally works. But using the phrase like true 4K when you're talking about a gaming console?
No.
Fuck off. No, thank you. Anyway, that's my little, I don't know, tech nerd corner.
Mine isn't as exciting. I'm just getting a new monitor.
Hey, that could be exciting.
I'm playing on my first build. I built when I was 23, so I don't want to age myself, but let's say
a while ago.
These monitors are like the first Samsung gaming monitors with the thick black plastic bevel and the round base.
I've like one of my monitors is still one of those like kind of wide bezel beasts.
And it's got the curved back when Samsung went through that whole like curved ripple phase of their so I can't VESA mount them or anything because I pulled the back off and found out they don't have mounts. But on top of that, in the middle of VOG, one of my monitors started flickering. And I was like,
love that.
Uh-oh. God of Fog jumped back on. My monitor wasn't responding. It had pretty much gone dead. The backlight, but nothing on it. Restarted my PC 3 or 4 times, and then it's back on, and now I'm too afraid to turn my PC off.
Oh, no.
But I've used a work monitor from working from home as a test monitor, and I've definitely isolated it to the monitor, so I'm out $300 now, but a necessary evil, I suppose, because I could not go back to, especially on a gaming PC, going back to one monitor. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so used to
Discord, YouTube, dim monitor. Thanks.
Yeah, like I've been using 2 monitors for so long. I find it really hard to go back to one. And I also like the setup here. I also use it for working from home. So I've got the 2 monitors here, and then to the left of my main monitor, I'll have my like work laptop. So when I'm working, I have 3, and I'm getting used to that now, to the point where I kind of want to figure out if there's a way to get a 3rd monitor into like my gaming setup. Because like I like having Discord up where I can see it, like especially if we're doing raids and we've got maps and stuff we need to look at. And also like being able to see who's in the voice call. Like if someone joins, I don't have to be like, who is that? It's like, oh, I can just see. But if I also like want to have, I don't know, some video on while I'm playing something, it gets real messy, like trying to have both of those up in a way.
And we also quite often with the fire team, we stream into our Discord quite frequently as well while we play.
Yeah, it'll
low
be like,
effort, low energy.
Just watching some stuff together. We're playing Mayhem, so it doesn't really matter.
Gambit or
and for a while, I was running my second monitor in portrait mode, and that actually kind of worked because you split a screen in half when it's in portrait mode, and each one of those is basically the same aspect ratio as a landscape, like 16:9. It just means that it's kind of a small thing that I'm working with because it's a 1080p, I think like 24-inch monitor, so it's not that much in terms of pixels available for half of a window. But anyway, very much first world problems. I also have no way of mounting another monitor in here. I'm taking up a lot of space as it is. I've got the 2 monitors, the camera there, the microphone over the top of one of these, the 2 lights. Like, there isn't really room to throw another one in.
And that's why I upgraded to a kitchen countertop.
Yeah.
I IKEA DIY'd my desk. It is just a countertop and 6 legs.
I mean,
that's my old desk.
What else is a desk if it's not that?
It's normally super stable, but because I've got very cheap monitor mounts, as people have probably noticed in the recordings if I move.
Oh yeah.
And that's partly because my camera's on my monitor and the monitors themselves aren't very stable because of the design and then the cheap monitor mounts. So I'm very excited to be able to VESA mount both monitors eventually and have a stable tripod or something for recording episodes and streaming. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice. For you. I like that for you.
You may have a decent setup as a treat.
Yeah.
As a little treat.
All right. I think that's probably going to do it, unless I'm missing something
this week.
I don't know.
We've covered everything.
I'm trying to think of if any of those seasonal challenges were especially fucked, but it's kind of the same of like do a bunch of astral alignments, do a nightfall kind of stuff. Aside from the Team Scorch, that one can kind of bite it, but I've done it, so I'm just like, cool. 2 days into the week, I'm out. Just
go do the thing. Go do the thing in the Shattered Realm. Oopie, you don't have the right upgrade for your compass.
You come back later when you do.
Come back next week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Except this week is like, here's the last one, but also there's still these big purple blobs. Figure that out later.
I just want Petrovenge just to be like, not this week. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Did you leave that one at home? Oh.
You want to be able to jump, but you can't because you don't have the right upgrade. Oh, honey.
It's annoying, actually. So you'll probably know the one I mean. When you do, in this week's Shadow Realm, when you do the second beacon, you go up to that top part. There's all those broken islands with the fields of whatever they're called as you come across.
They like slow.
Yeah, fields of strife, I think they're called. And there's that one chest on one of those islands there, which is just too far to jump from those little blocks. But there's a point from up top that I fully believe you could make that jump from, but they've put like a wall there, an invisible wall that if you cross it, insta death. Because I tried a couple times. I was like, I can make this fucking jump. Don't be stupid. And then they've got like those big rocks that phase in and fly past. Those got me a couple times, but then I got the timing right, made the jump, and then it was like, dead. What? So I'm on to you, Bungie, making me do things properly.
How dare you not let me circumvent
the rules? Yeah. But, game designers trying to tell me something, trying to inform me about how to use the systems, there's always a way they want me to do it. This was probably one of the few times where the way that I tried to get around it didn't actually work because they thought of it and blocked it. Usually they're pretty good about like, fuck it, no one's going to find this, or it's not really that consequential. But yeah, I had to wait. I had to wait till the second pass when I had the safe passage, and then went back through and was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just jump over there then. It's fine.
They were ready for people like us.
Yes, they're learning. They know.
They know one of our fire team members is a speedrunner who will literally push the boundaries of the game.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. This has been episode 5. Thank you all for watching along, listening along, audio, video. We've got both options.
Just vibing.
If you want to vibe with us, if you want to continue to vibe with us, subscribe, tell a friend, the drill. YouTube's not a new thing. We don't have to tell you how to use it. But we would like some more friends to talk to, I guess. I don't know how else to end this.
I think community would be fun.
Yeah. We're just trying to, I don't know, have a positive time. Talk about the parts of the game we do enjoy, and not body shame people on Twitter. Like, I want to talk about it so bad, but I don't want a whole man to come after me.
I just want that gif of the guy going, "Understandable, have a good night," and fading into the
I'm just gonna lean back. I'm out. Anyway, this has been Erico Blueberry. We will see you next week. Go play some Destiny. It's a good ass game.
Or don't. I'm not your dad, but I could be.
Your dad plays Destiny.
Woogie, woogie, woogie.